Hi, welcome back to Elin video series. My name is Nick and I'll be your guide for this journey. So in this video series, we've already learned quite a bit about the most important technical functionalities of Elin, and it's safe to say that right now you're already well equipped with the necessary knowledge, both technically and ideologically, to really maximize your productivity and utilize our little app here um, to, well, not its fullest, but to a nice extent. However, what we're going to do next is we're going to equip you with some more knowledge that's really going to help you use it to its fullest. And the topic of today's video is working with the backlog and the importance of regular reviews. A couple of things I want to say first about the GTD methodology. And of course, we're going to talk a lot about it over the course of this whole video series and over your course of using Elin. So essentially, it's a system where we want to, a system by David Allen, where we want to take all the tasks, commitments, thoughts, uh, just ideas that we have, and we want to put them into a trusted system. This is the first thing that we do when we have a project. And right now, you can guess which system that is for you and me. And so once we do that, we slowly want to start sorting things out and creating more and more space for us to think because our brain is not supposed to be a hard drive. It's supposed to be it's supposed to be something else, but definitely not hard drive according to this methodology. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about this feature that's called the board. The board is a part of Elin where you have essentially working space. There are two modes. There is the list view and there is the board view or the board mode or the list mode, call it whatever you like. And so the board view here gives you more space. The list mode is more convenient. You can use whatever you like. Personally, for myself, I like to use this kind of list view. So that's what I'm going to do exactly for today's video. And what is it? Well, let's take a look. We have this working space here. We have this blue box and we have some buttons here. We can close the board. We can change the view. We can add new lists. And you guessed it, this space here is exactly a list or a backlog within our board. And so boards as working spaces give us access to these lists that we can create, delete, manage. But what happens with these lists? It's a great question. And right now we're going to answer this. Let's say that we've completed the first three tasks here. And so I have a task to secure the right accommodation. Well, what I can do here essentially is I can press Alt plus B, or I can do something else. I can also click it, right click, and I can add it to board manually. Alt B or this manual way of doing it. It's completely up to you how you like it, but this is how you add a line from our main part here um, to the backlog and with it together to the board. So what is this here? Well, essentially the backlog is a system of prioritizing and deprioritizing tasks. And what does that mean? Well, here we have a project that's not really huge. Okay, it's vacation 2023, and all of these lines here are lines that I basically created to really explain what's happening inside Elin. So we have this project here. But let's now put ourselves in a position where you and I are working on a software. Okay, and so we're working on a large scale project that's going to take hundreds of lines of tasks and it's going to take more than 3 months, for example. this area here isn't going to look like that. We're going to have a bunch of content here, a bunch of tasks. And that's exactly what the idea of backlog is for. When we have that many tasks here, it can stay difficult, it can become difficult to stay organized and to really keep this view of what's happening. Where are you in the middle of this whole project? But Ellen is really perfect for projects of all sizes, from something as you know really tiny as the vacation to massive enterprise level projects that require teams of multiple people working on them. And really, this is the beauty of it. This is why it's awesome. Um, Here we have this option to create new lists, and well, I'm going to rename it to new list. You might ask yourself, well, why would I create a new list? Well, for example, here I can add some of the task here to, let's say, my heap. This is my backlog. This is where I want to add tasks for myself. But let's say we have a team member whose job is to, focus on the UX UI aspects of our software. We can create a separate list of prioritization for them, and we can create that for a lot of people in the team, for everybody basically. And that way, everybody's going to know their priorities. Everybody is going to know where they are, what's the next step um, for them, and so on and so on. And so we can add those tasks to our lists here depending on who they're for. So if there's a big project, we can actually individually add and create those backlogs for everybody. Here we can choose who we share it with. Here we can minimize. And of course, here we can close the rejected tasks, and we can delete the list. This is what I'm going to do because, well, I'm the only person right here showing you how this works. And so I'm going to add, let's say, securing the right accommodation to the board. And I can add, for example, this task here. It's a note. That's correct. It can be added to the board. So I'm going to change it to in work, and I'm going to add it to the board as well. And so what happens now is that I have these two tasks here, okay? And I can change them like this based on the priority. So the tasks that are on top should be done first. They're the highest in priority. And the tasks that are lower in priority. So you can just play around, okay? Take your project, break it down, and then figure out what needs to be done first. And how are you going to do that? Well, that question leads us to, well, really the next very important part of this video, and this is the importance of doing regular reviews. Regular reviews might sound silly when we're talking about tiny and trivial projects such as, I don't know, daily shopping lists or whatever is trivial for you. But when we're talking about large scale projects, reviews are essential for the sake of knowing where we stopped, knowing where we're going, and simply understanding our position on this axis of start to end of the project, especially if we're talking about big projects. Let's say that this thing where you and I are working on a software is true. We're not going to work 24/7 all the time. We're going to have a frame of time during which we're going to work, and it can be anything. And once we stop working for the day, the next day, the first thing we want to do is we want to make a review of every single thing that we have here. And the beautiful thing about Ellen is that here it can take as little as 10 minutes. Why? Well, look at this app. You have everything. You have your, task segment here. You can add notes there. You can really use this any way you like. You have the calendar inside the app. You have the sort of board system here also within the software. Everything is right there. It takes 15 minutes to go through all of what you got, and that's it. You've basically done reviewing this instead of having to go through different tabs on Google Chrome or whatever browser you're using, spending time looking at different task cards, opening, closing, and all that. You don't need none of this when you're working with Ellen because everything here is a part of the system. It's a all-in-one system that's really designed to maximize your productivity and efficiency. And that's why reviews are important. We conduct reviews and then we update the board content depending on the review. All right. So what we want to do is we want to start the day, open the document, see what's happening, and then make sure that we sort of compare our results of that review with the situation in the board. This is how you make sure you always do things in a way where there will be progress. Because the board is here to be your priority list, not the board itself, but to contain content in priority lists. Because the board is your working space for them. You want to know what's the most important at every point of your journey. And that's exactly what this serves for. So that should be it. Make sure you regularly review your projects, especially if we're talking about big and important projects. And even if they're small as well, it doesn't change that. So just make sure you really add this way of thinking um, to your day-to-day operations and watch your productivity skyrocket. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next lesson.